Stardate 2349.6. All right, welcome to New Mexico and the 2025 CDT edition. Last year I didn't do very many of these, or maybe any of these video or audio journals when I was in Colorado, probably just because it was such hard hiking there, and I just couldn't get a clear sort of headspace to do it. But New Mexico has much longer, easier stretches. So, all right, I'm going to put this in my pocket here. Hopefully you can still hear pretty good. All right, I'll try to keep this brief. So those of you who have been following the saga, this is the last section of 4 sections of the CDT, which is the Continental Divide Trail. In 2021, I think, or maybe 2020, I started the trail. I did Montana and Idaho, and then 2023 did Wyoming, 2024 Colorado, and now we're on this last section. Yeah, so let me just talk about Colorado last year a little bit, since I don't really have any journal of it. I'll probably listen to these someday too, when I'm old and I can't remember what happened out here. So I'm gonna get down some of the highlights. So the hard thing about Colorado was the storms, the daily lightning storms as you were going up 14,000 foot peaks. You just couldn't catch a break. It was like, 2 p.m. every single day, lightning all over a peak, and you had to go for it. I'm still kind of like traumatized by it. That was the worst hiking of my life. So, beautiful views, and I'm sure it's a great place to take pictures and a great place to live if you can pick your moment when you want to go up the mountain. But when you have to sort of force yourself to push on this trail that literally goes over the peak of the divide, it's just totally, I don't know what to say about it. Like, what's the right word? You just feel tiny. You're looking up at a huge mountain. There's this like gigantic, ominous, solid looking cloud full of like threatening, just like power. And they come out of nowhere. So there can be just a completely clear sky, and you hike up and suddenly you look to your left and one of these things has appeared and is just like boiling up to full force. So that's pretty like much Colorado in summary. I met one guy I hiked with for a while. He was pretty cool. He's a little bit older than me, retired finance guy from Boston or something. I wish I had journaled about it a little bit more at the time. He was doing something similar to me, where before my injury, where he was just, kind of like going full on, just hiking all year round, nonstop. And that's what eventually led to my injury. And we both had like, what's the right word? We both taught each other certain things about like gear and whatnot. So it's just like productive, kind of fun hangout for about a week with another serious long distance hiker. Most of the hikers I met in Colorado were doing the Colorado Trail, called the CT, and it kind of goes from Denver and intersects the CDT for a while and then kicks off west. And those people were like really cool to hang out with, but not moving at the same pace. Some really cool things to see were they had these like marathon races in the mountains, especially at night. So all night long there'd be people running through the mountains with headlamps on, running like 100-mile they're not marathons, I don't know, ultra marathons. Yeah, so Colorado. Anyway, so this year, I had a job this past year and a half working for a company called Skydance, and they were awesome in that last year they let me take a month or 5 weeks off to do the Wyoming section or the Colorado section. And this year they were gonna let me do that again, so I could have kept the job, but it was just kind of wearing me down, time to leave that company, even though I really enjoyed working with a bunch of those people, a bunch of my old friends from Blue Sky and Autodesk and other places. But yeah, so I decided it was probably better to leave before this trip instead of after, so I didn't have to wait a month while I was out here and then have me come back and decide after that to peace out. So what that means is I have a really nice sort of clear headspace this time. I can take as long as I want to finish this section, although I don't really think I'll need more than 5 or 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks max. And yeah, I guess I'll just start with getting out here, which was super cruisy. I left Boston in the morning on like a Tuesday and was on trail at the Colorado-New Mexico, north of the Colorado-New Mexico border the next day at like 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And so every like flight just perfectly matched up. I got to Albuquerque, I got an Uber to a train. I barely caught the train. It was called the Rail Runner. Got to Santa Fe, spent the night there. Got up in the morning, caught a $2 bus to, I don't know, some town which barely connected to a free worker bus that went to Chama. Yeah, really, really long way. And I got to Chama by like 10, which was crazy. Can't believe that bus is free. It was like a 4-hour bus. And then grabbed a Subway sandwich, caught a hitch up into the mountains from this real nice local. Older guy who had long Lyme's disease. And yeah, was hiking off from the train station. There's like an old steam train up in the mountains up there, and it was coming around the bend when he dropped me off, which is pretty cool. So, any case, to get through this quickly, the dramas of the first day were mostly just kind of getting sick. Something I ate coming through Chama. I stopped for a burrito there. So I just spent kind of a night sick, and without getting into the gory details, I discovered I had not packed enough toilet paper to get me through the next 4 days, and stayed that kind of sick for like 2, maybe 3 days. That was a little bit of a bummer, but I've dealt with that before. I know how to stay hydrated and keep my energy up. And the hiking was just like totally beautiful. I was really not expecting there to be so many trees, so much shade. I was expecting to get to New Mexico and be in a desert immediately, which doesn't make much sense, I guess, now that I think about it. Yeah, so just absolutely beautiful days, clear nights, lots of stars. I met one guy going in the opposite direction, but he wasn't a CDTer. And then there was like 2 brothers in their mid or late 70s out for a short run. They said they'd done the CDT or started the CDT in like 1974 in March on skis, and they were still trying to patch it together. So I don't feel quite so bad about my 5-year trek here, but they were pretty cool. I mean, that's like kind of badass to be skiing the CDT up in Canada in March. Right, let's see what else happened. trying to remember. Oh, right. So the other things were I didn't plan properly this time. There's always some mistake, like there's 100 or more, probably more than 100 little things you have to remember every time you come out, and the easiest time to make a mistake is right at the beginning because you have to get everything right in one shot. So I forgot to pick up a lighter and fuel for my stove after for my flight, so I had no way to cook food. That was kind of a bummer. And I discovered that I'd miscalculated the number of miles I was hiking. I forgot to take into account the length of alt I was taking to get to Ghost Ranch. So I had a day's less food than I needed, or it was going to take me an extra day to get where I need to go. So I was like in a slightly awkward stance the first day. I was like, all right, I'm sick. I might not have enough food, and I might not even be able to eat the food I have because I can't cook it. But it all basically worked out totally fine. Like I cold soaked the dinners for about 3 hours. I figured out a way to do it with the bags starting in the middle of the day so I could still eat the dinners. And actually that works out really well. I'm considering just getting rid of my stove now, and about 3 or 4 in the afternoon filling up one of those dinner bags with water and just letting it cold soak until 7. And then I save a bunch of time. I don't have to cook, save a bunch of weight and space in my pack. So it's kind of like happy accidents like that, where you either unintentionally or not intentionally put yourself in a challenging position and discover a new way to do things, or some way to optimize. So that was kind of cool. But I am looking forward to being able to cook again. Right. And I was saved also because I walked through a few like little pond areas with fishing that had privies, that had toilet paper in the privies. So I was able to replenish. So everything worked out totally fine. And then I made it down to Ghost Ranch, and that's when it started to change to desert, like proper desert. I'm just gonna check the map really quick here. I'm at a fork in the road. Okay, let's see. All right, that's weird. Should go this way. And Ghost Ranch is where Georgia O'Keeffe bought some land and painted, or found inspiration for a bunch of her paintings, and lived for a while. So a lot of the media there was promoting her and her life, and that was great. They had cheap room, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Pretty terrible food, but hot, and at least it was fresh, and you could get some salad and stuff like that. Get a shower. And so my major concern here is like quality of water. Maybe not getting water, but quality of water. Because I've been sick now twice on this trail. Once in the top of Colorado, really Wyoming, and that was like explosively bad. And then this one where I got sick a little bit earlier. So now I'm headed into a state where most of the water sources are shared with livestock. Like the one I just picked up, you have this little pipe that feeds into just like a water trough in the middle of the desert. And I don't want to get sick, so I have my filter, and I've got a little extra treatment, chemical treatment this time, to try to manage that a bit. But supposedly it's been a dry year. So that's going to be, I think, the major challenge. There's no bears here. There's a few in that first little section. There's little black bears. There's probably snakes. So that's like another minor risk, but really the main one is just being really careful with my water as I go. I'm also the first one through going south this year. The way that I've timed it I'm a little bit ahead of the southbound hikers that started in Canada in June. So none of them have left comments on my guide about the quality of the water sources. So I'm providing that service basically for them. And as I'm going down, I'm describing the quality of all the water sources, how much they're flowing, if they're clear, if they taste good, that kind of thing. And I met actually that guy I was telling you about who was coming north. He was like, oh yeah, there's this guy coming south marking out the water sources. And I was like, that's me. So he was like, oh, thank you. And it was already helping someone. So it's really cool to see the, not large, but certainly appreciative network of people, of hikers out here who really are relying on important updates about the terrain out here. And I'm not expecting to meet any other hikers coming north at this point, any serious hikers. I'd love it if some of the southbound hikers caught up to me, who are, CDT hikers. The problem is the ones who are going to catch up to me first are going to be the fastest hikers. So they're probably going to blow right by me. It's possible. And the hikers that are hiking the same speed as me, who I could hang out with, they're never going to catch up to me at this point, since we're moving the same pace. So what I'm expecting is, a few nice encounters in maybe 2 or 3 weeks with some people just flying by me. And when I get down to the border, the bus that rides us all home, it's kind of tricky. It's out in the middle of nowhere. So it's $300, and you really want to have at least a couple other hikers with you to split the cost of that. Otherwise, you're paying a guy. It's just a really, really expensive taxi ride, basically, for this guy to drive out in a van to the border on some dirt roads to pick you up in the middle of nowhere. So hopefully, by the time I get down there, there's enough people around from the crew coming down from Canada where I can hook up with some people for a ride. So that, I guess, is the state of affairs. It's totally beautiful out here. It is proper desert. As I'm walking around, I'm just seeing these giant buttes everywhere and cactuses. My hiking poles have cork handles, and I put them down a couple times, not looking where I was putting them down. And when they came back up, they were just full of little spikes from the cactuses I had to pull out. It's a little bit dangerous to just randomly strike off in any direction, because you can find yourself knee-deep in cactuses. But yeah, the mountains are beautiful. They're striped with sort of orange and yellow and white bands of color. And I'm not expecting there to be violent thunderstorms or rain or anything like there was in Colorado. We might get them, but I think it'll be easier to hide from them. Knock on wood. So I'm going to sign off, and hope everyone is doing good, and I'll do my best to keep these going. Bye.